Hello everyone, welcome back to another painting video. Today we're going to paint this kind of moody scene. I'm just doing a quick sketch right now. This is the type of scene I really enjoy painting. I actually love pine trees. I think I've mentioned that multiple times already, but seriously, pine trees are like one of the most beautiful trees I've ever seen. First, I'm going to start with the sky. I'll mix some Prussian blue with red and white, then add a little bit of black to tone it down. I don't want the sky to look too bright since it's supposed to be kind of a cloudy scene. Then I'm mixing some yellow, green, and red into the leftover sky color on my palette. I kind of want to create a base color for the ground. The color turns out looking like an olive green, kind of in that olive tone range. I'm going to apply this on the left side of the ground. I'm also applying that to the right side of the ground, but honestly you can just leave that part blank for now. I kind of messed up the base color there, so I'll paint over it with a darker shade later. So yeah, I don't have to paint the area yet. I'm mixing black with yellow-green so it's not pure black. I'm going to use this to paint the pine tree on the right side. This is basically the shadow color, and we'll gradually build up the layers afterward. Right now I'm using my liner brush because it's easier to shape the branches and those fine pine needles. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine, just play around with the branches however you feel comfortable. Once you've painted a lot of pine trees, you'll get used to the shape and you'll end up painting freely without constantly checking the reference. And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about painting this tree. I'm mixing black with medium yellow and a bit of red to make a really dark brown. I'm using this for the small pathway in the middle. That's the main color I saw in the reference. Now I'm continuing to build the layers on the pine tree. I'm mixing yellow green again, but I'm keeping it really dark. After this, I'll add more green so the depth becomes more visible. Layering is what makes pine trees look like they have dimension, but since the scene is cloudy, the pine trees won't have a super bright highlight. We're just adding enough layers so it looks like there's depth, but not so much that the tree pops too much. Now I'm moving on to the ground. I'm painting the grass shadows using the leftover mixture on my palette, basically the same dark color we used for the pine trees. This is also where I finally paint over the base color on the right side of the ground, since the area is supposed to be darker based on the reference. Then I'm going back in with small brush strokes to add those grass shadows. We're basically just marking the areas where we want to add details and layers later. Okay, this part is honestly a bit overwhelming for me too, but the key to making it easier is, if you are going for a darker shadow color, paint it at the bottom of the grass shapes we already made. That becomes the deeper shadow. And if the color is lighter, add it more toward the top of the grass, so don't stress too much here, just paint freely. I'm also mixing a brown shade to add around the grass because in the reference there is some brown grass mixed in too. I'm also adding a bit of detail to the small pathway in the middle now. I'm just tapping in some darker shades along the edges of the path, just to give it a little more texture. Now I'm mixing white with random brownish shade from my palette, just so the white flowers don't pop too much. This is the first layer of the white flowers, and I'm just tapping it around the areas where the flowers are in the reference. But also, if I see a part of the grass that looks, kind of ugly or weird, I'm just going to put a flower there too. Problem solved. Right now I'm only tapping the flowers on the left side of the ground. We do have white flowers on the right side too, but over there the colors are more on the cooler side, so we'll finish this left side first. Now I'm mixing white with that same brownish shade from earlier, but this time I'm adding a little passion blue so it leans more towards a cooler tone. Based on the reference, this area doesn't get as much light, so the flowers here look a bit cooler in color. Now I'm mixing pure white, just adding a bit of water so the consistency is right, and I'm going to use this to highlight the flowers on the left side. For the flower highlights on the right side, the part that doesn't get much light, I mixed the pure white with a bit of that cooler white mix from earlier. I'm using that instead of straight white because this area is darker and not really lit by the sun. Now I'm mixing that brown shade on my palette with the white mixture, just randomly mixing until I get a lighter brown. I'm going to use this as the highlight for the grass in this area, since the grass on the left side has more of a brownish tone. Now for the final touches, there are a few yellow flowers in the reference on the right side of the ground. So I'm using lemon yellow and just tapping them in with my liner brush. I actually love how these yellow flowers look, those little pops of color. And for the shadows of the flowers, I'm using medium yellow as the darker tone, just to give those tiny yellow flowers a bit of depth. And that's it for today's painting. I really love this scene. It's so simple, but it's still so calming, both while painting it and looking at the result. The grass part was a bit overwhelming, not gonna lie, but the final look is just so peaceful to me. As always, the print will be in the description. Hopefully I'll see you guys again soon, inshallah. Bye bye.